Newly released body cam footage giving a look at the arrest of a Greensboro man accused of trying to assassinate the former president.
Driver, walk straight back. Keep walking. Keep that long.
The FBI arrested Ryan Wesley Routh yesterday after Secret Service agents saw the muzzle of an AK-47 style rifle pointing through shrubbery at a golf course. That muzzle was aimed toward former President Trump as he was golfing on one of his courses. Well, Routh made his first court appearance today in federal court in West Palm Beach. He was charged with possessing a firearm as a convicted felon and possessing a firearm with an obliterated serial number. More charges are possible as the investigation continues. Now, authorities say the incident took place near the 5th and 6th holes, with Trump just about 300 to 500 yards away. Cell phone records show that Routh arrived at the golf course around 1:30 that morning. He was there for 12 hours. A former Secret Service agent spoke about the planning that took place to get Routh in position.
I wouldn't say it was extremely sophisticated, but it certainly wasn't, an amateur attempt. He had made there was some level of planning that went into this. He'd obviously identified a location where he might be able to set up where he could potentially not be observed easily.
Officials say the level of security was consistent with that of a former, not sitting president. U.S. Secret Service agents say once they spotted Routh's rifle, agents jumped into action and fired shots towards him. Investigators say Routh ran off and was captured in the next county over. He did not fire any shots. Well, Routh has a long criminal history here in North Carolina. Information from the Department of Corrections confirms various charges and cases. WFMY News 2 was on the scene of one of those incidents that led to an arrest back in 2002. This is the video of it here. Routh was accused of barricading himself in a home and charged with possession of a weapon of mass destruction. In March 2010, he was convicted of multiple counts of possession of stolen goods, a Class H felony in North Carolina. Well, records show that Routh visited the state recently. He's registered to vote in North Carolina, has a Greensboro address. He voted in the 2024 primary election in person. He appears to be registered as an unaffiliated voter. While he spent most of his life in North Carolina, they say his most recent address is in Hawaii. Assassinations, attempts, and politics, we haven't seen this kind of violence on our soil since like the 60s. President JFK, Martin Luther King Jr., Bobby Kennedy, all of them assassinated in a span of 5 years. Well, with this latest attempt on a leader's life, a lot of people are asking, what is happening in this country?
We're at a temperature level we haven't seen since the late 60s. And to be honest, it feels worse to me than the late 60s because then it felt like it was just a few people that might be willing to resort to that. But the people that you're seeing now doing this don't really have a big dog in the fight. They're just mad and willing to shoot somebody over it.
There is no question there is a divide between red and blue. You see these fists kind of hitting one another. It's conflict. But I got to tell you, if you step back a bit and you look, you're going to see that there are people on both sides. UNCG professor Tom Little says the political temperature may be up in this country because we're seeing red or blue versus human first.
People are willing to resort to violence and physical altercations in a way they used to not. And you can even see it in the rhetoric when you're on social media, the things that people say to each other and call each other that they would never in the past have done that.
Tom says lawmakers are now taking note of the rising temperature, the political temperature, and they're asking for workshops on civility, which is, well, let's give you the definition, formal politeness and courtesy in behavior or speech. Have you seen that in Facebook conversations lately? It doesn't say anywhere in the civility definition that you have to agree with people. The 5 principles of civility laid out by the National Institute for Civil Discourse include engaging in differences, not ignoring them, listening for understanding, engaging with empathy and humility, principled advocacy, and looking for common ground. So let me give you an example for your next Facebook conversation.
Not listening to your argument. I'm listening for you to take a breath so I can tell you the way it really is. And that's what we're doing most of the time. But if you change your mindset and you listen to really hear what they're saying, and one good way to do that is to try to repeat it and say, do I understand you correctly that this is what you're saying? And try to do that. And the second is when we go to the point where it's just name calling and we're no longer talking about the issue. And again, you're no longer my opponent. Now you're my mortal enemy who's trying to ruin the world as we know it. And when you get to that point, there really is no way to come to any kind of consensus.
Let's come to some common ground. Be the first to know when there's an update in this story and others. You can look for our push alerts on the WFMY News 2 app. As we learn to work more, what's the best place to follow along with this investigation is WFMYnews2.com.